Yo, what's up fam? What is up beautiful people? This week we're going to be talking about us, and specifically us talking shit and what that says about us in the state that we're in. Let's get it. So as most of you will know, Open Up Podcast and myself are part of the Fit for Service Mastermind, which is run by Aubrey Marcus, one of the guys I look up to most in the whole goddamn world. And I was so pumped to be a part of it. Now over the last couple of weeks, I found myself pulling away, and not only did I find myself pulling away, but I also found myself talking shit, talking smack, talking that ish about Aubrey, his team, and the value that the Fit for Service Mastermind was providing me. So what I felt was the reason for me talking shit, talking ill of him and some of the other people that I look up to and admire, was that I felt we weren't getting a good return on investment for the money we were putting down to be part of this group. But, in a big but, a couple days ago, I was watching one of the Instagram stories that they have in our closed Instagram group, and I seen this post from someone with a package they received. Now, I'd received a FedEx card maybe 5 days prior, and I just left it on my fridge, assuming that there'd be no value. Because I was holding this grudge against them, because I was talking shit, I felt that anything that they gave me would be of little to no value. So I left it on there on the fridge. I procrastinated, I let that negativity get to me, and when I seen what was in that package, it was full of the most popular Onnit supplements that they had to offer. And I was stoked, I was pumped. So I pulled that card off the fridge, I called, and when the guy picked up, he asked for my tracking number and he said, "I'm sorry sir, your package has been returned to the US." And so in a huff, I hung that phone up, swelling with negativity, feeling mad, wondering how they could do this again, let me down again. And then over the next couple of minutes, couple of hours, I finally began to see that the reason I missed out on this package was because I held a grudge, because I was feeling like they weren't providing value. And so from there, I began to question why I was talking smack in the first place. Now bear in mind that Aubrey Marcus is the guy I probably look up to most in the whole world. I idolize this man on the same level as my father. Now why would I be talking shit about someone like that when I have the opportunity to connect with them? And so over the next couple of days, I asked myself this question frequently. And the conclusion I finally came to was that I chose to pay up front for this Fit for Service Mastermind, to be a part of this group. I had so much confidence that I could get sponsorship, but when that fell through, when I realized I couldn't do it, I reached out to his team and I told them, it's okay, you can take me out of this group. I was confident that I could get that sponsorship, that I could pay up front, but it didn't happen. So you can take me out of the group, I'm gonna accept the consequences. But they didn't get back to me. So I was left with this feeling of being a fraud, not being enough, not feeling worthy of being part of this group, because the option that I elected, the option that I was so confident of taking up, didn't come to fruition. And so I felt that way, and by feeling this way, by not dealing with it when it arose, when it first came up, I allowed it to fester, and then it became me pulling away from this group, pulling away from this content because I felt like I wasn't enough. Now by me pulling away, I began to justify it by first in my head saying that this wasn't enough, that they weren't providing the value that I had expected. And then to further justify that, I had to go and tell people that I loved and care about this injustice. So when I realized that, in a bid to quash this negativity, this grudge that I had, I decided to go back over the content, go back through it all, and see what I could pick out of it, see what nuggets of gold I could find within it, and to see if there was anything I could actually learn from, whether I was justified in holding that grudge and telling people that it was of little value. And so when I did that, when I went back through it, I realized that there was so much on offer, that they were providing such a service, that by not consuming it, by holding this grudge, I was actually putting up a barrier to my own learning, to my own progression, and to my own growth. And not only does that impact me, it impacts Open Up, the podcast, the group, and then furthermore, it impacts the guests, it impacts the listeners, it impacts the entire network, the entire community that's impacted by me, by Open Up, and by our guests and their stories. And so how this relates to that title across the top of this video is that I was talking shit because I was insecure. I was insecure because I felt like a fraud, because I felt like I wasn't enough. Now, if you're talking shit about someone, or if somebody is talking shit about you or someone you care about, more than likely they are going to be insecure. They're going to be faced with a challenge, a problem, a situation that they do not know how to deal with. And so to deal with it, they'll take the easy route like me. They'll accept no responsibility at all, and they will defend themselves, because as humans, we've evolved in a way where we look for safety, we look for that shelter. And what's safer than defending yourself from a situation, a problem, a challenge that you think is going to hurt your ego, it's going to hurt your identity, it's going to hurt your feelings. Guys, when we talk shit, what we're really doing is trying to justify ourselves, feeling defensive. And so we go on the attack because that's the easiest thing to do. The hardest thing to do is accept your insecurity, to accept how you're feeling, to accept that, yes, something might dent your ego, it might dent your pride, it might hurt your feelings, but to accept no responsibility for the situation you're in and to attack someone else is not the right route. You're only going to attract negativity into your life. And so to wrap up this rant, to wrap up this video, my questions to you, if you're talking that ish, you're talking that smack, are number one, what insecurities have you not faced yet that's making you attack someone else? And number two, how would you feel about that person or that thing or that situation if that insecurity was no longer a problem? Guys, please ask yourself these questions when that hateful talk arises. There is a reason for it. And yes, I understand we are humans, we all make mistakes, we all have character flaws, but we are not defined by those. We're defined by the actions that we take every single day, the consistent actions that we do on a daily basis, because those consistent actions, those become our habits, and those habits determine our personality. So please do not let this shit talk, this smat talk, this hateful attack on someone else become an action that you implement consistently on a daily basis. Do not let it become a habit, and do not let it determine your personality. You are more than that. You have always been more than that. It's just on you to make sure you do the right thing every single day. Ciao.